You found me 'cause you have mommy issues. Yes, it's true. Oh, yes, you do. But baby, I'll be a mama for you. Hello. Hi. Hi, happy day. Thank you for visiting my channel. If you're new here, my name is Miriam. And Cetus Lapidus. Hi. I'm an oracle, apparently. A psychic. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I be reading energies. I'm intuitive. I'm Pisces. I'm a Pisces. It's Pisces season. Pisces. So Pisces. Okay? So come take your Pisces to Pisces. Come take a Pisces of it. Just like I said, just like I sang, coming into this. This is something that I've discovered about myself over time, and I'm accepting of myself. Quite literally, I have a very mothering energy, a nurturing, but not like a oh baby, like more of like a get up. What are you doing? Come on. Don't no, we have to move right now because like if we don't move, the cougar's gonna eat us. Okay. I'm the mom who's like, look, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I love you. I'm sorry that I yelled. But I was not about to let you get eaten by a cougar. And I was not about to have you watch me get eaten by a cougar. So then you could be scarred mentally. So I'm sorry I yelled. Next time, I won't even say nothing. I'll just snatch you up. I don't know. We got to figure out some type of process to figure it out. But really, the gifts that have been bestowed upon me is a feminine energy that is going to be safe and comforting and non-judgmental and unconditional. And so, yeah, you probably got a little bit of mommy issues and you're looking for something like that. And it's like, it's a little bit more blanket statement, just mommy issues, 2 words. And it kind of like, honestly, those things tend to minimize it. And it's something that I say often, and something I say in the podcast. It's going to be coming up on the 9th, but I wanted to say it now as well. When a mother's okay, this is not my burden to bear. So the way it comes out is the way it comes out. I do not have to affect my throat chakra in order to explain, to make sure I'm not hurting anyone with my words. So, when a relationship with a mother is severed, whenever a relationship with a mother is broken, or a child no longer trusts the mother, it is one of the most sacred relationships that are broken. It's one of the biggest heartbreaks that can exist, because this person that you were in, that was nurturing you subconsciously, that you were a part of them since they were a baby, at least half part of them since you were a baby, since they were a baby. The yoni, the uterus, that the yoni includes the uterus and everything, is the ultimate source of motherhood. And even if the mother is a bad mother, usually it's still warm. Usually there's still some comfort to be found in it. Granted, exceptions exist. When you are born, the deal is that your mother loves you unconditionally. And what I've discovered is that that is actually a lot less true. And I haven't discovered it by watching it. Everybody else kind of feels like their relationships with their moms are pretty, not everyone, but a good majority have poor relationships with their mothers and didn't feel protected by their mothers, didn't feel loved by their mothers, didn't feel like they had access to their mothers. Oof. And that breeds a lot of animosity towards feminine energy. When that relationship is severed, it also severs your energy, your relationship with your feminine energy, your own mother energy within yourself. No matter your gender, you have mother energy. You have that there. A big part of 616, as I say this, a big reason why I have this energy is one, I have a really good mom. Oh, 616 on this as I say this! Oh my gosh! That's so cute. A double 616, y'all. Okay. I was blessed with a very divine mother who said, I love you, thank you, I'm sorry. She knew her lines, she did them well, and she meant them. And she walked me through them. She showed with her actions that she was. And also sometimes with her actions, 656, I say that she did a little too much. She was like guilt raising a little bit sometimes, and also scared raising me, afraid that I was going to get hurt again. And when I guess chose this life, I chose at least that I'd have that partner, that best friend. And that is true. My mom is my best friend. She always has been. Even my best friend now is so similar to my mom in some ways. She's very different, like from everyone in a lot of ways, but there are ways that she has similar energy. A part of my mom being a really good mom is that after the things that happened to me, I was able to sit down and have conversations with her. Conversations about why I started crying all of a sudden after watching that movie with that scene in it. And why do I feel this way whenever my shirt rubs against me? I just want to be able to sleep. Did you know? How did you not know? All the things, all the hard conversations, all the rough things, because having a good mom doesn't mean that your mom doesn't have missteps or make mistakes or in a lot of ways feels like she fails you. It's a mom that can say, I fucked up. I'm not going to fuck up like that again. And thank you for still loving me. Because, and I say this often, a mother just has to ask for forgiveness and just to sit down with their child and say, no matter what their age, and say, I am so sorry. I love you and thank you, and they will forgive, because a lot of people believe that the unconditional love comes from a mother, but it is from the child. Motherhood does not teach you unconditional love. Childhood does. And even whenever people feel like they hate their mother, there is still something deep in them that wishes for that different story. got a little sidetracked, but my mom would talk to me about all the things. She would let me know about so many things that weren't just about the horrible things that happened to me in my life. She would talk to me about my period. She would talk to me about menstruation and talk to me about what it would be like as I go through puberty, because I did hit puberty quite early because of the things that happened to me at a young age and how often. And so that created an awakening early in my yoni, in my mother. Um, in my root chakra before she was supposed to be awakened. And even whenever she was being awakened, I knew that that was an ancient force that wasn't for my child being. And when my mother told me, she was like, "Oh, I'm on my lady time." That's what she would say. She was, "I'm on my lady time." And when I had questions, she would have answers. When she noticed changes, we would talk about them. She would help me be connected to my root chakra in ways that I didn't even understand were possible, through spiritual understanding that she doesn't even understand now. That a lot of the reasons why she was able to make it through the homelessness and abuse and starvation and all the things, all the terrible things that she went through, is because she was already quite Gnostic. She was already quite yogi and finding unity and moving through the space in that way. A lot of people who deal with trauma, who are still like just moving through life and doing okay, and she worked on her shadows, um, because she had to survive. She shared that knowledge with me. So whenever she was going through all the things that she didn't have a mom to ask, "Hey mom, why does it why do I feel this way when my shirt rubs against me? Why do I feel so icky? Why did I cry all of a sudden?" She didn't have someone to answer those questions. And she made damn sure that I didn't have to deal with that same thing. And in the same ways that she understood her bodies over time and cycles, and she made sure that I didn't have to go through the same mistakes that she did. Now, granted, sometimes I still wanted to make the mistakes. I was so very much like, "Just let me live my life. Let me go with that boy." Mama knows best, okay? At least in this case. Um, and so whenever I was a young girl going through puberty, I was also, my first period was actually very lovely. These are things that I get to say. These are privileges that I have because, one, I was curious about all the things. And also, my mom was more than willing to have the conversations, because in her family, they were not willing to have those conversations. Do not talk about that. Don't talk about anything. And don't be a slut. You're fat. Like, that's just what it was. Like, that's how they talked to her all the time. And she wasn't even fat. She was she was starved. Anyway, um and so this is how your body's going to change. This is how your body's going to change. This is how your body's going to change. And all of these age appropriate conversations. It wasn't the talk, it was multiple talks of comprehension of my current state of my body, in connection to my yoni, in connection to my uterus, in connection to my womanhood that was fast approaching, had already shown its signs. And so I was so connected with my body. Even at that young age, I was 11. What a beautiful age. Um, I went to bed, or before I went to bed, I took a shower. I put on my liner, and I went to bed. And I knew that that night she would come. My period, my first period. And when I woke up the following morning, there she was. Dee, 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 dee. Just ever so slightly. I'm older now. And I have a lot more experience with my Yoni. And sometimes you could literally just be, hey, girl, no babies. No babies today. No babies this month. Please do not. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. Nope. No thank you. Or, hey. Hey. You're just talking to her. And that's something that she's been my friend since I was a kid. She's been there my whole life. She's been there being the mother that she was, echoing so loudly, being the things that she was. Even before people took advantage of it, I was always doing my best to nurture people's energy. And so now, when people come to me, it's often because they are desperate to heal their own root chakra, their own mother energy, that relationship with the divine mother, with the sacred flame. And it's hard. It's hard because it's so confusing and combined. Because also, we're talking about a sacred mother and all these other things, and it's this spiritual thing. And then there's also the fact that your root chakra is your genitals, baby. It's right in your perineums. Your perineums is right there. This is just a lot of how our species is driven. A big part of how we can create. And most of the time that should be a fun time. Getting to that point, that means that you've met somebody that you trust enough to give your body to, and then create a life just with the things that are you. And like, also, every being does this. It's something that is shared throughout all beings. There is this reproduction, even if it's with themselves. Somehow they just split into another thing, and then it's just cloned or whatever. Still, sometimes it turns in itself into both things and then impregnates itself. Like, everybody's seen those sea slugs attack each other with their penises until one of them wins? And probably not, but you could look it up. And so, go ahead and work out your mommy issues with me. You wouldn't be the first, and you wouldn't be the last. and don't get me wrong. Just because I had I have a fantastic mom, I still had mommy issues. The best part about my mom is that I can say, hey, mom, these are how you gave me some issues. I was able to do that, and that is extreme privilege. What I will say is that I don't know what it's like to have a very mean mom, or a mom that could be deemed objectively bad. But I do know what it's like to have a mean root chakra. I do know what it's like to have a toxic inner femininity. I do know what it's like to be so disconnected from my root chakra in my body. Despite all the love and the tools that my mom could give, she still didn't know a lot of stuff about this esoteric spiritual stuff. And she gave birth to a Pisces. And so there was still a lot that I had to do on my own, and with my own kundalini, my own internal spiritual mother, that I thought it'll be easy. But at a young age, the biggest relationship that was severed in me was the one between my crown chakra and root chakra. My crown chakra was of comprehension. And there were certain things that my crown chakra did comprehend. And my root chakra blamed it for allowing it to still happen. Not knowing that crown chakra was still blinded and confused by all the intellect of the egos that had already been created in that young girl. And so the wedge drove deeper and wider. And they hated each other. And I paid for it. Myself paid for it. And so, when the time came for that sacred mother in me to understand that he was just a boy, not knowing what to do, my crown chakra, he was not a king yet, but a prince, just a little boy, thinking, let's go play, it's fine, it's okay, I think. No, I know over here will be okay, I'm pretty sure. Still, there's work to be done. Still, there's forgiveness to be had. But the understanding is there. The understanding of the integral path. The wisdom that was bestowed upon you is for a reason. And you know it, even if it's a bitter taste in your mouth. And your suffering is not accidental. It was incidental. And instead of alchemizing it, you blamed yourself. When all yourself was doing was screaming, don't do that. Get away from her. Get away from her. Doesn't matter your gender. Sometimes your crown chakra is screaming for them to get away from your root chakra. They can't hear it. They're ignoring all energy. And even now, the battles that are in you, the egos that are in you, the chakras that are imbalanced all the way on the path, because we can give personifications as human minds to both the root and the king, the crown, and then what about the seer and in the palace, and the herald of the palace, and and the nurses of the palace, and the workers in the farm, and and the musicians and the bathhouse and the restrooms. What about all the people working there, running it? What about it? Seems empty, seems vacant. Seems like it used to be this bustling city, all happy and great. Now you can just feel all the souls hidden inside of their little houses, looking outward, not wanting to do their jobs because there's something lurking, an energy. You walk through these valleys, you walk through each one, and you see how things have become desolate, how fear has run over the kingdom, and has been so long, much longer than it ever did with sunshine and happiness. But there was a time when that was true. "6:36 as I look up. Oh, 6:37 actually. So, yeah. What a great love. A joyful love. A pure love. A childlike joy love. You know, not everybody has that weird relationship in their chakras. Look, I'm not making you compare. I'm not making you compare. I'm not. I'm just saying that some people didn't deal with the shit that you dealt with. And you did deal with the shit that you deal with. And that caused this disruption. That's why you are here. That is why you have found me. Not just because of mommy issues, because we share a lot of issues. But that disruption, like sometimes people don't even realize that they were disrupted in that way. Like, especially like, just for an example, young men who think that they're, oh yeah, I got with an older girl, but they shouldn't have been with that older girl. She wasn't an older girl. She was basically an adult. She was 16 and you were 11 or something. Like, that's not appropriate. It's not because you were a stud at 11. It's because that was an inappropriate relationship at that time. And it's like really about maturity. You know, it's really about not necessarily like, oh, you're so mature for your age. But like, if you're an adult, you're an adult. You know, if you're of an adult age and you're an adult age, then there's a little bit more stuff allowed for a bit more of an age gap. But when you're young, the age gaps are bigger deals. Especially whenever you're like really, really young. But when you're young, each year has so much of a milestone. The more years we get behind us, the more we can start actually like having stuff to compare to. That's why like most like places there's like around, it's like, so in England and stuff, like 16 like is whenever you can start drinking and all of that, and like being an adult. 16. 18 some places, all of that stuff, that's whenever they start being like, okay, because at this point, ratio wise, each year tacking on top to the previous years isn't going to be as comparative as, say, 1-year-old having another year. That's a half of their life. A 3-year-old, even, that's a third of their life. A fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, an eighth, a ninth, a tenth. Like, it's up until it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, well, actually, like, that's just a very thin sliver of their life. But as a child, 6 and 7, there are big milestones between that. 7 and 8, 9 and 10. So there's like these parameters like of abuse, like between it comes like ages. Like it has to be like if somebody's 3 to 5 years older than you, that can be considered something that's inappropriate. Because there are certain things that are like appropriate things. Like, and it's hard to believe that there are times when there is appropriate behaviors in which we can then connect with our chakras properly as children. Not necessarily all the way like that, but like a kid, I climbed a pole and climbed down a pole. And that felt nice. And then that's it. They just know, then that's it. Not just some person teaching them stuff about themselves because that person knows what they're doing is incorrect, but people naturally discovering their bodies, people naturally discovering their chakras, and then these are the natural explorations. Unfortunately, there are times you have not been given the chance to have a normal exploration, and instead you were dragged on an adventure. And it wasn't an adventure, you were kidnapped. Jeez, that got heavy, y'all. All right. I'm gonna go do stuff because I was not planning on doing this. I had already posted a little something earlier today, and like kind of like if whatever happens, happens. And I'm not really like, oh, it has to be this, it has to be that. But it seems like apparently I just be talking for about 30 minutes nonstop, but nobody's stopping me. Like clearly, I don't need nobody around. But I mean, the people at my house just like they're like, you're just talking up there. Yes, I am just talking. Anyway, I'm gonna go cook or clean or something. I don't know. Maybe just go to sleep. But in the meantime, lovies, y'all keep a lookout for the numbers. And y'all stay synchronized.